Hello everyone, welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. He's back, the man himself, Gianni is back from Qatar. He's helped the Japanese fans clear up the stadium. He's mingled with the Brazilian fans. You've been all over the place. How was it?
Oh, it was amazing. It was so cool just spending time with fans from different cultures, and the Japanese fans were amazing. That was definitely my highlight. Like going to a Brazil game in a World Cup, I thought wouldn't get beaten. Seeing Brazil in a World Cup, lifelong ambition. But then watching Japan knock Spain out with the Japan, who Matoma, by the way, so good in that second half. But yeah, the fans just make World Cups, don't they? And it was really special.
It's been a good World Cup for Brighton. Not going to
Yeah.
lie.
Really
so many players, and then capped off with McAllister winning. I hear Chelsea are going to put, Spurs are going to put a £30 million bid in for him. Yeah, maybe you get his left big toe with that. Definitely not going to get a full player. It's great to be back. We were just saying off air that we've both been doing sort of World Cup content. It's been challenging in different ways. The game, let's say, hasn't been the best. This hasn't been the best offering for the official game. Fan team, I have really enjoyed. I think they absolutely nailed it. Some of the other ones, not so much, but that all is all gone now. The World Cup's over. We've got our Christmas jumpers on, even though it feels like Christmas has already happened. Christmas is like in a couple of days, which is weird. And we've got Game Week 17 to look forward to. You're excited, right?
I'm so pumped for Game Week 17. I must admit, during the World Cup, I kind of parked FPL thinking. I didn't tinker or anything. But the last 4 or 5 days, I'm fully back in FPL mode. Very excited. And look, what I'd say about the FPL game, having played like the FIFA game sort of with so much attention in the last month, I've realised how good the FPL game is, and even the classification of players every season. I don't want to get into this discussion now, but just to give you the top line on it, every season we talk about players like Mo Salah being listed as a forward and what all these wide forwards. Well, FIFA listed all their wide forwards as forwards, and it meant that each week we couldn't buy them because there was only 3 slots available, and the game's midfielders, in which we had 5 picks, there was no one we wanted. So the likes of Mbappe should, in the FPL, he'd be a midfielder, the same as Salah. But of course, he was a forward. So was Messi. So was Dembele. So was Rafinha. Rafinha was a forward.
Yeah,
it's just so annoying. So I like our game very much.
Yeah, I think it does kind of put into context how the simplicity of FPL. That is why it's got 10 million plus players playing. And we can talk about them adding in defensive midfielder contributions or changing, adding different formation tweaks and all that kind of stuff. But you see some other games, don't you, like you say, and you think, actually, this could go wrong if they try and change too much, and suddenly it's not the game that we like. Not to keep badgering about fan team, but I do really like the safety net feature.
Oh, I loved the fan. I played fan team really properly and enjoyed it, and it was so much better compared to the FIFA game.
The safety net feature for anyone who isn't aware is if you pick a player, and if that player doesn't start, you get the next player down on the list. So you don't have a bench, essentially. You pick 11 players, and then you get the next player, which works really well. It doesn't work so well for like blank game weeks and things like that, because then obviously there's no players in the team on the safety net. So it's not perfect, but it's quite a clever different way. Right, no sponsor this week, so we can go straight into it. There's already some people asking in the chat, let's hope it's not another template setup. Well, I am delighted to reveal, after doing quite a few of these and them all being quite similar, it's me and Gianni. Come on, it's not going to be a template setup. So here is Gianni's team, which is alarmingly similar to the team that I will be showing on Black Box and on the team reveal on Thursday, which I was really surprised. I mean, we play the game fairly similarly in a lot of ways, but we don't tend to have the same teams.
But we do always agree on stuff. We do play the game in a very similar way. As from all the content creators out there, like if you take the sort of pro pundits from Scout, I would say if I was to align myself with any of them in terms of gameplay, it would be you. You would be my chosen one.
Oh, that's very, very, very kind. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Hey, that's not good. It's not necessarily a good thing, by the way. Like my gameplay is, but yeah, I'd say you and I are definitely the most aligned for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, people can compare this to some of the other teams that we've looked at. So I'll just read through. You've got De Gea in goal and Dallo, Walker and James, Martinelli, De Bruyne, Kulusevski, Rashford, Haaland, Darwin and Mitrovic, and then Ward, Trippier, Andreas, and your best mate who's somehow gone from the before into the new is Kinder Bueno, who plays for for Wolves. So there's loads of things to discuss. I mean, firstly, at starting goal, I'm so bored of saying, Kepa and Ward being the go-to combination. Everyone's got it, absolutely everyone. I'm not sold on it at all. You've gone the same route as me. You've gone for a bit of a punt on Reece James. I'm finding the goalkeeper position a bit tricky though. How you feeling about De Gea?
Yeah, I like it. I've just realised, Az, I have actually got to change this team. I've got Mason Mount in there, haven't I? So instead of, it's not Martinelli, it's Mount, but it's very similar. But we'll get to the midfield later.
Okay.
And it actually gives me, I think, 1.5 or 2 million in the bank. I'm so sorry. I forgot the changes we made this morning.
So it's Martinelli out, Mount in.
Yeah, because when I asked you this morning to put Kulu in, I asked you to go Kulu in for Martinelli, but you did Kulu for Mount, and I didn't realise.
It's this kind of, on the ball analysis, Gianni, which is why we keep you on here.
When you're making that change, if you can, I don't know if to show Mount, but I'm going to talk to Gea because
I'll try. You keep everyone occupied, and I'll try and make the change.
I do think people are sleeping on him. I was really surprised that whenever we had David De Gea with a price point starting with a 4, and yes, we think we're gifted with Kepa, but we don't know if he's going to be Chelsea's number 1 long term, and we do know he's got a flag on him. Do watch out, by the way, guys. Today, Chelsea do have a behind closed doors friendly against Brentford, so check out the likes of Kepa and Reece James's minutes. But De Gea, 4.9. The first 3 fixtures are lovely. United are starting to keep clean sheets. I like it. When the fixtures turn a little bit for De Gea as well, like let's say you don't want De Gea come game week, was it 20? Well, that's fine because De Gea hits Man City and Arsenal, and those 2 fixtures, Ward has Forest and Brighton. So you just play Ward for 2 weeks, and then you go back to De Gea for more green fixtures. Double United defence, goalkeeper and defender, is something I'm really big on. So I do think I'll be going one way or another with well, probably a draft with triple United, which for me is quite strange. That's not a very Gianni thing to do, but I really like it.
Yeah, the fixtures for Chelsea are good. I can understand the appeal of Kepa and Ward because, the issues with Kepa are we're not entirely sure that he's nailed. Mendy is a top class goalkeeper. You sense he is because he plays with his feet, and Potter I don't think will like. He values that over pure shot stopping ability. But Chelsea haven't been great. I think the deciding factor for me though is that we now have this Reece James option. We've got him in training. Okay, it's 3 games in a week. He's probably not going to play 90 minutes across all 3 of those games. But he's Chelsea have not been playing well. They need him. They don't win when he's not in the team.
He is everything.
Because he's everything.
He's their best player.
Absolutely. And those wing back spots are so important for Potter. So I'm leaning towards taking the punt. He's down to 5.8.
Yeah.
I really like it. And yeah, like you say, the De Gea option is good because of United's fixture, and then Ward comes in kind of perfectly. I'm looking at Ramsdale potentially, looking at Pope. I think there's options. I think everyone is being blindsided by Kepa because of those first 3 fixtures. But then you've just got Kepa, and I'm just not entirely convinced he's going to be the one going forward.
I am looking at. I think I'm set on De Gea Ward because, as I say, when the De Gea fixtures turn and there's only 2 bad ones in like the first 10, you just play Ward for Forest and Brighton. If I don't go De Gea, I think I will. I do think it will be Kepa because of the price point. But yeah, I'm really surprised to see De Gea in very few drafts. Also, we like goalkeepers that actually make saves, and De Gea tends to make them. United still get shots against them, and De Gea is a very good shot stopper and has been back on form in the last 12 months or so. So I've seen a few saying maybe you go Ederson and just bank those City clean sheets. The problem with going for that premium goalkeeper like an Ederson is you just do not get the save points. You really don't. Like his ceiling feels like a 6 every week. De Gea's ceiling, a bit like a Kepa's if you like, it's an 8 or a 9.
I think I've done the changes. Let me just.
Oh, good man. So you've swapped Martinelli and Mount.
I've had to completely redo the whole thing, but it's
oh no.
The things I do for you, Gianni. Let me just click this button and hopefully. There you go.
I've seen some comments in the chat like, it's been ruined. Love that. And thank you guys. Good to see Delia and Coleman and Nuclear so active, and Cameron as well in the Gianni and the template don't go together. Thanks, Cameron Star. I enjoy that.
You happy now? Check the screen. Is that's right now? Yeah.
I'm on a little 10-second lag, but I'm sure
it
will be.
Okay. Right. So a question I want to ask you is: so when I was putting my team together, I pick 3 players that I was gonna build the team around, and they all happen to be from one team, and I kind of worked from there. Did you do similar with this? Do you know, like there's there doesn't have to be 3. Was there, which players were you 100% certain when you put this together?
Yeah, I was always big on that front line. So the Haaland, Mitrovic, Darwin, and that then influenced the rest of the team, because by going Darwin, that then influenced the decision to maybe go no Salah, and then that influenced the decision to go De Bruyne in. But then I want the expensive mids, and that is bang on with Rashford, Mount, and Kulu, which doesn't allow a Cancelo, for example. So I think I worked from top to bottom, which is strange, because usually I'd pick my defense first, and then you go and think, oh, do I need an enabler up front or whatever? But I'm so big on Darwin. 2 goals in a friendly last week as well. We like that. I do think Salah's still a really good pick. Like Salah and Darwin together, with Bobby Firmino slightly deeper than them, will be the front 3. And that front 3 worked just before the World Cup. And with no Luis Diaz and Jota, Darwin is nailed. So having that front 3, sort of split strikers, if you like, Salah central, Darwin central, Bobby deeper, it's a really nice front 3, but you can just save so much money by going Darwin that I think they'll be very similar in terms of output. And you just can't have them all. And look, from Liverpool's fixtures, the first 6 Liverpool fixtures, only 2 of them are at Anfield. And sure, Salah can go big away from home, but I much prefer this Liverpool team at Anfield. And I'm always worried about not owning Salah for those Anfield games. But with only 2 from 6, and they're not the easiest 2, I'm very happy going without Salah for once. And look, no one's going to be captaining him anyway. So that's kind of, I worked for the forwards, wanted De Bruyne. And look, I would love Foden. You and I both love Foden in this game, but the rotation scares me a little bit. He's actually been given a little bit more time off. I think he only returns to training like today or tomorrow. Some of the other England lads like Saka and Mount have been back for days. Foden's still not back at Man City. De Bruyne is just the minutes are there. And look, City have got the double game week on top of Liverpool as well. So they've got the additional fixture. Triple City's an absolute must.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I'm not seeing more De Bruyne's, and I think if people aren't going De Bruyne, they're going Foden to kind of cover it. And like you say, you and I are the biggest Foden fanboys going, but I have doubts. That you can't just ignore what happened in the last month of the season. Before it ended, with him missing all those games. I think he will play the majority of minutes, but when you've got a player like De Bruyne there, who's got the minutes guarantee because of how early Belgium went out, they've got the 3 games, they've got the double. I think you just need to have the best options from the best team, debatedly. Actually, it's Arsenal at the moment. You haven't got any, but it's I think so. I mean, the big things that your team haven't got are Salah, as you mentioned. You've got Darwin. Some people are doubling up Salah and Darwin, which is a lot of money to be putting into that Liverpool.
Yeah, it's a quarter of your budget.
A lot of budget, but you haven't got Cancelo now. I kind of put Cancelo in that same bracket as De Bruyne and Haaland. And when I talk about the 3 players I started with, it was those 3: Cancelo, De Bruyne, and Haaland. Built the team around them. Walker,
I'm not set on Walker.
Too comfortable with that, right?
I'm not set on Walker. And do you know what it was? Cancelo was a lock. Like, I thought he was a lock when I first started doing my drafts. He was in all of them. Like day 1 of tinkering 4 or 5 days ago, Cancelo was there. And I just thought, I'll just check out the prices of the other City defenders, because I don't look at the other City defender prices because I've always just got Cancelo. So there he is, Cancelo at 7.4. And I'm looking down the list going, gosh, okay. Akanji's played every minute. He's 5.0. Stones is getting a lot of minutes, 5.4. The problem with the centre-backs is we don't know who's going to play. Ake's been getting love. Diaz, Laporte have been in and out. Akanji's been getting all the games, but again, I don't know if we can guarantee that post-World Cup. Stones, we don't know. I thought, well, Walker was out. He's dropped in value because he was out injured. The start of the season, he did start them all. Like the first 6 game weeks, he started all 6 when he was fit. 4.8 million. Even if Kyle Walker isn't guaranteed to start 3 and 3 and he starts 3 and 4 or 2 and 3, I think he's still good value at 4.8. So look, I need to know he's going to be starting the majority of games. If he's not, I sell him to one of those other centre-backs that are. But I didn't realise I could go without Cancelo, but drop 2.5 million and still cover that City defence. If Cancelo's getting attacking returns every week, the 2.5 is well invested in Cancelo. But this season only, the attacking output has massively dropped for Cancelo. And I'm not sure, you'll get the occasional 15-pointer, but I'm not sure the extra 2.5 is worth it.
I don't think he's worth it long term. And I, kind of my season turned around when I actually got rid of him.
Yeah, I remember you doing that.
And went cheap in defence. And it wasn't pleasant watching a lot of those games, but he didn't do that well. I think he only got 1 clean sheet in 6 or something crazy like that. The tricky thing is, though, I mean, it's Leeds and then Everton and then Chelsea and then a double. Mm-hmm. So it's short term. It's a very, very good run. I mean, Akanji has been excellent. Akanji wasn't really a factor when Walker was there last time. We've seen him sort of playing at right back as well. Walker doesn't get forward that much. It's not like he's going to be missing like loads of great runs down the right hand side if he does play Akanji there instead of Walker. I think he's a big gamble. Walker, I get it.
It is a gamble. Carabao Cup's going to tell me a lot. So I have 1 game to scout City. I'm going to cover the City defence. It's probably going to have to be without Cancelo if I want this sort of team. So there's a chance I move to an Akanji, for example, or a Stones, and find the extra funds. I don't know. I'm not 100% set on Walker either, but at the moment he feels like he could start the majority of games still because Pep has played Walker when he's fit. And there's no evidence to suggest he won't start other than the fact that Akanji has played well. And there's been other options because we've seen Ake play left back and Cancelo right back. But for the time being, I think I'm willing to risk it. He's a nice placeholder there. And look, worst case scenario, the way this squad's built, I have Trippier come in for Walker and it's not the end of the world. You're just then not covering City's backline, which they're the best defence in the league. The fixtures are okay. But they're not amazing fixtures, but they're going to get clean sheets because they always do. I think the expected goals conceded for City all season is something like 10, obviously leading the way. I think Arsenal were second.
They're not far behind Arsenal.
Yeah, and again,
I've good stats.
I've gone. So this team doesn't have Cancelo, which you point out, doesn't have Arsenal, and it doesn't have Almiron. They're probably the 3 big things I don't have.
Yeah, we do have nearly 200 people watching. We've got only 7 likes, so. Come on, Gianni, give him a nudge or
Are
a
you
poke.
kidding me? Are you kidding? Come on, guys, you don't need to be told.
Yeah, give us a like, guys. We do appreciate it. We're trying to ramp up the content again, and I think, yeah, like I said, the World Cup stuff has been quite slow. It'd be nice to get back to doing more videos and things, and help us out with the algorithm by giving us a like. Right, you might have seen my tweet earlier about Mason Mount. I am very, very much against Money Mace and anyone.
Did I twig that? Was that looking at my team when I sent you my draft?
It wasn't actually. I saw him. I did see him in yours, and I saw him in. I've seen him quite a lot. He's
in FPL Harry's.
Yeah,
I think.
he's becoming the 8 million mid of choice. You've got Kulusevski there, which I really, really like. I like Maddison as well. I like Saka. I think it's one of those. It's bias, right? I got burnt by Mount start of the season. I owned him for the first 5 weeks. Got me no returns. All the other 8 million mids were firing. I just don't get it though. I mean, other than fixtures, I mean, okay, that's probably a good enough reason in itself. But other than fixtures, what has Mount done to warrant a place in your revitalised side, Gianni?
Fixtures. Fixtures. They're so good. Set pieces, fixtures. Look, the big thing for me, which would turn me off any other Chelsea attacker, is the expected goals is averaging at like 1 a game. Like this Chelsea team at the moment hasn't clicked under Potter and we're not scoring goals. But it's Bournemouth and Forest and then a double game week. He's the one that will play the minutes. He's only 7.5. Like I still think that's good value for the guy that's on all the set pieces. Yeah, he's going to get the minutes. And I just feel like he's got a history of scoring against weaker opposition. I think he scored big against Norwich last season. I think that was the game I captained Havertz and he didn't return. Game week 7 or whatever it was, the week Salah went big. Mount can be a flat track bully and he does well against weaker opposition. But he's playing 3 newly promoted teams in the first 3 weeks back. Bournemouth, Forest, Fulham. I'm going to cover him. I'm going to cover that Chelsea attack. And then as long as he gets minutes today in the friendly against Brentford, he'll be in my team. Quiz
question for you. Mount has played 14 games for Chelsea this season.
Yeah.
How many blanks?
Oh.
Without looking.
How many blanks? He's had a ton of blanks. I reckon he's had a couple of double digits. He's definitely had a 15-pointer. I'm going to say he's probably got 10 blanks.
11. 11 blanks. 1 assist against Southampton in game week 5. 2 back-to-back double-digit hauls in game week 10-11 against Wolves.
Who were they against?
Against Wolves and Villa.
Okay.
Clearly likes playing the Midlands teams.
Yeah.
And he finished the season with 5 consecutive blanks against Brentford, Manchester United, Brighton, Arsenal, and Newcastle. So not particularly easy run of matches, but he has been, I think, one of the most frustrating players in FPL so far this season, if not the most frustrating player, because he's playing. I think he's only not started one of those games, and he just isn't getting points.
We don't know what position Potter wants to play him either. That's another that we don't know what system Potter wants to play, let alone what position he plays Mount in. But again, like that's definitely an issue. I do need to see something against Brentford in the friendly today to warrant going triple Chelsea or double Chelsea. But at the moment, I do like Mount. I also am just going to give a very quick shout out to Lewis Hall, who is a 4.5 midfielder, who I think could be the first choice left wing back in Chilwell's absence. And I just think when he has played, he was young player of the season last year. When he's played, he's been Chelsea's best player. Gets into the box loads. Nice. Yeah, he's a 4.5 mid. He looks a bit like Kevin De Bruyne from years gone by. But do check out Lewis Hall as your 5th midfielder slot. Look, sure, Andreas Pereira feels obvious because he's got the double game week and guaranteed minutes. But if Lewis Hall gets a run of games, he could be fairly dangerous.
Lewis, I mean, that is a name that I have not heard mentioned.
Honestly, he's really good. So if you win Chelsea Young Player of the Year, you are an elite young player. The Young Player of the Year from Chelsea has been it was Mason Mount a few years ago. It was Broja, I think a year ago, Gallagher. Big players win that award.
Okay. Lewis Hall. Not Dewsbury Hall. Lewis Hall.
Yeah.
Not heard of him. So yeah, okay, interesting one.
Yeah.
Right, let's talk about what should we talk about? We could talk about Rashford. No Martial. But then you got your good front line. I do like the Rashford punt. I mean, the Rashford punt, the midfield is interesting because obviously you've got no Martinelli, you've got no Almiron as well. These are going to be 2 very, very big players for a lot of people. You've got, I think Rashford's going to be popular, De Bruyne. I said Mount and Kulusevski over Almiron and Martinelli, or Saka. You see, selling Martinelli.
I think so. Which feels the problem with Martinelli. Like the reason people aren't selling him, I'm pretty sure it's the reason I wasn't going to sell him. It's the money tied up in him, right? We've had him since day one, but when you look at the midfield options out there and you look at Arsenal's fixtures and you also take Gabriel Jesus out the team, I think short term it's okay to go without Martinelli. Look, I have no doubt when the fixtures get better for Arsenal because they're ranked 16th on the ticker. I want Martinelli back in. He's a fantastic player. And he links really well with Gabby Jesus, who naturally drifts left, and you see Martinelli cutting inside. But the output in that team without Jesus, I think, will have a big effect. And I just think there's other midfield options like Rashford, similar price point, that are just better options short term for Martinelli. A bit like Mount. I don't think I'm going to have Mount long term. But for those, I'm just playing the fixtures, and they're not really there for Arsenal. So I'll lose money with Martinelli when I inevitably buy him back. But I think I'm okay with that.
Triple United.
I know, from me as well. I hate United. But again, I'm chasing those first 3 fixtures. And look, I could even change Kulusevski. This is because I'm not sold on Kulu.
Really?
I could change De Gea to say Kepa or Dalot to whoever. And Kulu could become, and this sounds very punty, but it's again playing the fixtures. Anthony is 7.5. He's going to start the first 3. I just fancy United in those 3.
Anthony, I mean, you are busting out some left field names in this one. I mean, Fernandez is growing in popularity. I'm seeing him in quite a few sides. Is that kind of half premium, a bit like Darwin at 9, Fernandez at kind of 9.9, whatever it is. He's creeping into some teams. I like it. I mean, we're seeing players that there is a strong template emerging. This isn't really it. I'd say there's maybe 4 or 5 players in here which are. Dalot and Rashford are popular. Haaland, obviously, Mitrovic, Darwin. Those guys are. But then you've got a sprinkling of stardust, if you want to call it that, around. But I am looking at players like Martial and Fernandez creeping into people's teams, and thinking, okay, it would be nice if people do branch off in kind of different directions because there are some good fixtures to target. Mount, for example, is someone I'm not going to go anywhere near, but you can't deny the fixtures are good, and there's a double coming up. hopefully
Yep.
people will stick to their guns and pick some of these players that they believe in.
Yeah, there'll be a fair few that perhaps are looking at drafts without the likes of Martinelli or Salah that get really twitchy come Boxing Day and go, no, I'm going to play safe because I don't want to ruin my season at the start. And it does feel like we're going into a new season. And notoriously, we start game week 1 and we play for it really safe. But this isn't game week 1. We're halfway through already. I didn't enjoy the FIFA World Cup game, but the one thing I did take from it was I had a bit of fun in terms of my picks. I was able to pick always guilt-free, and that's how FPL should be. And I enjoyed the fact that I never felt guilty going for punts. I never felt like I was scared of not owning a player that was 70% owned. And it was nice having that feeling. Now, I'm not sure if mentally I'm prepared or I can go to that same place with FPL because it's sort of like a job to me and I care too much about it. But I would love to be able to go towards that direction where I can go, I don't care that I'm not owning Salah. I don't care if he's 45% owned and the whole of the FPL community have got him. I think De Bruyne is the better pick. So I'm going to go there. And at the moment, that's where I'm at. And I'm really hopeful that mindset continues. And I think this season I've been playing like that. And even more so off the back of the World Cup game, I've learned that I can kind of go a little bit more guilt-free with my moves. So I went freemium from game week 1 pretty much. I've had Kane, Salah and Haaland all season. So I've had a different look to most teams. And I'm hoping to continue that with the no Salah draft, I guess. But I don't know. De Bruyne is still a very popular asset. It's not like I'm picking a differential here. Like De Bruyne and Salah are going to have the same ownership. Just feels like a lot of the De Bruyne owners will be casuals and a lot of the Salah owners will be the FPL community.
Yeah. 24 points between us, Gianni. Not a huge,
Wow.
huge gap.
It's tight.
It is tight. You ended on a red arrow. You had a bit of a
Massive red. I was
Yeah.
around 100 and something K, wasn't I?
Yeah.
180 or something.
You had I'll tell you where you were. You had a disappointing sort of end to things. So
I went Mahrez. I took a 4-point hit for Mahrez on the game week 16 and he didn't play.
You did, yeah. I mean, you were 158k. That was your highest. That was in game week 13. So you've kind of more than half that in the last 3 weeks, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, and it was game week 16. It was the Mahrez, bringing in Mahrez.
For a hit as well.
For
a hit for 1 week, which seems so ridiculous.
Yeah. But that's the way things go. I mean, you've made quite a few changes at least. I mean, I'm seeing some people who've barely made any changes. But with this draft, you've got rid of Pope, Cancelo, Zuma, Martinelli, Salah, Bailey, Kane, Mahrez, Williams. That's 7 or 8 changes.
Yeah, and ironically, Mahrez will probably score game week 17 because he'll almost certainly start on the right because he's been playing all pre-season and Foden's back late. So yeah. Mahrez, yeah, I'm just not going to go there. But yeah, I like it. I like what I've done. I've made a ton of changes. And look, some of those changes are players that have made money for me. Like Martinelli is one where I've got value tied, but we haven't spoken about Arsenal and going without, well, other than Martinelli, Ben White. Like I think I paid 4.5 for Ben White. I think he might be 4.7 now. And again, like I really like the White pick. I just don't want Arsenal for the first 4 or 5 weeks. No. And I'll be buying those assets again. And it will be a shame, but points over price all day long. And sometimes we get a little bit, we become a little bit locked in on certain players because of the money invested. But all that really matters in this game is points. Sure, it's nice having a high team value, but it doesn't always convert to points team value.
Yeah, I mean, having a wild card before this pretty intense Christmas schedule, which is crazy after a World Cup. But if you've got 3 game weeks in a row very quickly, you can really target those three game weeks. And even players like I know Dallow's popular, but I can see why he is, because if he's rubbish, his attacking stats haven't been good. United have been, but you just get rid of him. You just dump him. You're not stuck with these players for a long time. So fill your team with players that you want to keep for a good period. But even a player like Mount, who I'm slating, well, you keep him for 2 good fixtures and then a double. If he's done rubbish, get rid of him. It's you do have to remember that you can get rid of these players, and it's something I struggle with, especially when you're building a kind of wildcard team, because you think, okay, I want to have this team for the long haul, but yeah, you don't need to. I like it. I think it's a good team. I mean, it's because it's similar to mine, so I'm a bit biased. Let us know in the comments what you think of it. I think we'll call it there. Gianni, we'll be back next week to find out how this team, or how Anthony and Lewis Hall got on, who I hope end up making the team. Just a shout out to anyone who is a fan of Fantasy Football Scout. There is a link to the survey in the description below. It just helps us with priorities for the site. Let us know how you think we're doing across video, editorial, all of that kind of stuff. So if you are a fan and you use the site, do check out that survey. Gianni, pleasure as always. Good to be back. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, thank you, mate. I can't wait to be back. I've really enjoyed chatting today. I'm going to literally go click on that survey right now and take part. And also, by the time I've done that, I hope to see those 74 likes have massively ticked up. But if you're not already subscribing to Scout, like, it was so good to see Scoutcast on last night. Burning Questions been doing good stuff. Back. I know FPL Harry's been doing good vids. So yeah, the content plan from the Fantasy Football Scout network is, I think, market leading. So make sure you are subscribing and setting those notifications.
I wonder who came up with that plan. They must be really good at their job. Yeah. Excellent stuff. Thanks a lot, Gianni. We'll talk again very soon.
Cheers, team.